Is anyone here 28 or above and still single? How's your life going? Story 1. 32 single for 10-ish years. Just focused on life. Year has been hell. Cat passed away. Mom passed away. First-time uncle. Friends passed away or moved. Semi-soft restart on life feels like. List goes on. Depressing year. Struggling to keep taking steps forward. Story 2. 28M. Always been single. But to be fair, I never saw or felt like it was a problem until I was like 23, 24. So I guess you can say that it is indeed for the lack of trying. But now it does feels like a problem. I do have friends, but I'm never high on anyone's list. It would be nice to have someone in your life who treats you like the first good option, not the last one. Someone who is there to listen and to share because they actually appreciate my attention, not because everyone else is busy. Also, it is very hard for me to meet new people, and people I find attractive even more so, which makes it hard to not cling to every person who looks like a good match. Answer. 29M and I would agree that the feeling of loneliness gets worse with age. Being a low priority for people sucks. I often have to schedule anything with friends my age, older a month or more in advance so they can coordinate, make things up with their romantic partner. My younger friends are also mostly single, but realistically they'll probably find someone eventually, and I'll be back to square one, which sucks. Story 3. 29. Sad and lonely. Got so much I should be happy about. A job, a roof over my head, not too stressed financially but the one thing that eats at me more than anything else is the fact that I'm alone, and I've always been alone. And the older I get, the harder it weighs on me, and the more hopeless it all feels. It's like, what's all the money and successes for without someone to share it with? Always the one loving, never the one being loved. Story 4. 36 and single for almost 10 years with a few flings here and there. Sometimes it's awesome. I can do whatever I want, eat whatever I want, and go wherever I want. I usually do a yearly trip abroad with my friends too. Not that I can't do any of that with a girlfriend, but it feels good to not need to always consider someone else when making decisions. But sometimes it's awful, and I fear that in another 10 years I'll dislike myself for not trying harder to start a family of my own when there was still time to do so. Some days are really boring, and even just the company of someone special would ease the emptiness. And some days are really exciting, but excitement loses its charm when it isn't shared with anyone. Most people are married by 28 where I live though, so it's really uncommon to meet someone who is both single and also matches the age 27 rule. Story 5. 32M. I'm fine. I go on dates when I can. Didn't really connect with anyone yet that wanted to pursue relationship, but I'm not worried about it. If it happens, cool. If not, oh well. Also, I'm pretty busy with my business during the season, so that also takes away from my private life. Story 6. 37M. Have been single for about 5 years. I'm incredibly happy. I feel like I used to need validation from other people to feel good about myself. But now I feel like I could live a decade on an island if I needed to. I don't want kids ever. I don't have a strong desire to get married. More regular intimacy would be good, but it's not eliminate me or anything. I don't mind showing up to events on my own. I take trips on my own and enjoy them. I am pretty good at planning and organizing without help. What I've learned from my past relationships is that I need to be highly aligned on a number of factors with my partner. So if I find someone like that, I'm open to a relationship. But that is pretty difficult to find. Story 7. Late 30s and in a relationship for over a year now. Before I met her, I had so much fear, anxiety, and depression that I would end up alone in life. It really got me down. When I met her, I felt like all of my problems and worries went away, and I felt the happiest I've ever been. But after a few months, that honeymoon period ends and reality returns. It made me realize that no person can solve those issues except for me. I still struggle a lot even though I have someone. The revelation came when I was wanting more love from her than she was giving. And it wasn't that she wasn't giving me enough. It was that I don't love myself. I'm still learning how to do this. But once you do love yourself, then having a partner is just a bonus, not a requirement. I am very grateful to have my partner, but it's not all fun and game. It has its own challenges and hardships, just as single life has. So my advice is to just work on yourself. Become the best version of you. Find your self-love and self-worthiness, which will take away this need to have a partner. The funny thing is that when you don't need someone, often that is when they come, because your energy is unattached, relaxed, and in your own frame, which is a very attractive energy. When I'm feeling needy, no one wants to be around me. But when I'm feeling good in myself and unattached, suddenly everyone comes out of the woodwork wanting my attention. Story 8. 38 Male also. Gave my last GF every bit of time I could. Treated her well. Thought we got along great, but in the end, I was apparently too nice. Last 2 big days out, we had a great time. Even she said herself, and then she went very cold on me and then dumped. Story of my life, really. I'm 5'9", in good shape, good job. Own 3-bedroom house, good car, but my downfall apparently is I'm a bit quiet. Sorry, I know this is a rant, but still a bit down from breaking up. Good luck, everyone. Story 9. 32M. Besides 2 dates since hopping on apps back in July, I've had 0 recreational interactions, i.e., not work-school work-related, with women since I was 19. I like to think things are improving lately since I made some lifestyle changes, but it's really demoralizing to be so demonstrably unwanted. Story 10. Late 30s. Pretty well. Have my little house, got my dog, have a nice car we like to drive in together, and I've got some money in the bank. No stress, no responsibilities beyond these, and generally pretty content with who I am and how I look. I'm good, bro. Thanks for asking. You? Story 11. Late 30. Almost all my life I was single. Never wanted children. Life most of the days are great, maybe 300 days a year. Financial free, traveling, going out, work if I want to. Life is boring after a while if you don't have a career or a business. Spending time on my hobbies. Now, by the example, I look for some ideas for my free time. Let's see. But overall, I will never pursue or put pressure to be in a relationship. If will be, will be. I am happy single. Story 12. 35 and freshly single. I started dating a year ago after not dating for like 8 years. I lived my whole life growing up with a goal of making sure my mom has a house to her name. Just before I finished paying off mortgages and debts of my family, I dedicated my life to moving across the world to be with the woman I loved. Didn't work out. So now for the first time, I have no goals in life. No one to live for but myself. Currently just trying to figure out what to do next, I guess. Feels like the world is open now in a way. Infinite roads to journey down figuratively and literally. Maybe I'll save up and go traveling or something. Answer. Just turned 37 and the same boat just broke up 2 weeks ago because I noticed she wasn't what I made her to be in my mind. Just like you trying to figure out what's next. Catch up with life since AI was used to spending so much time with her. There's a part of me that says everything will be all right and a better one will come and just focus on myself. The other half is worried that women are just not women anymore and might end up single forever. Story 13. 35. Was in long-term relationships from 16 to 32. Been single since and never been happier. Still go on a lot of dates, have some flings, and even catch feelings sometimes, but I've learned that I don't need the commitment to have fulfilling relationships as long as there is trust, respect, and understanding among both partners. Dating is much better in your 30s when people have money, maturity, and don't feel some societal pressure to look at every romantic partner as a potential life partner. Just enjoy the time together without worrying about the rest of your life. Story 14. 38, still single. Have had a lot of relationships flings. Turns out the juice is very rarely worth the squeeze. Choose you first. Changing jobs, moving, changing friends, etc. Sucks when it all blows up in your face. After a certain point, it doesn't seem worth it anymore. Like IDK how much I like a person. Why would I want to live with them? Story 15. 33F. Happily single and fulfilled in life. Job is meh, but many hobbies. Decent network of friends and communities from said hobbies. Missing maybe just a little romance here and there, but nothing debilitating. Best thing is, all my time, space, and money belongs to me, to freely give or keep to myself. No schedule or priority conflicts, no obligations. I find people over-idealize being in a relationship, TBH. I see being single as normal as being in a couple. Story 16. It's tough. Self-leadership is real challenging, but I wouldn't have been able to travel and take as much risk had I been married 35 mits. Loneliness is real challenging, and I hope I can find the right person someday because life can be really enjoyable when you can share it with someone. Story 17. 34F in content being single. Many more years to come. My goal is to fully own a cozy apartment and pay it off by 42. To meet that goal, I am trying to save as much as possible. Some may call my lifestyle boring because there's no eventual goal of having a family. I intend to be child-free, and I can't see myself settling with anyone who doesn't have his own property, expects me to cohabit under the same roof. My expectations of a partner are crazy. To some of my friends, he needs to be vegetarian and doesn't indulge in vices, including smoking, drinking. So I am not spending my time out in the world searching for a partner. Story 18. Still single. Like never been in a relationship. No, but single for over 7 years. Haven't dated in 6. Probably more choice than anything. My independence is important to me. I have enough obligations in life. My free time is mine, but I also miss some things. Story 19. I'm 40 and have been single for a couple years. Have had a couple very long-term relationships, 6 and 9 years, and a couple shorter ones in between. Last one ended a couple years ago. It has not been a good time since. Between the ravages of time on looks, the emotional roller coaster of the last relationship I'm still dealing with, and a loss of old support networks, also influenced by past relationships, my confidence is in the sewer, and I'm not super stoked about trying to get back into the game. Story 20. I'm 43, haven't had a long-term GF in probably 8 or 9 years. I prefer being single, more freedom, more independence, less aggravation. Loneliness can be tiring at times, but I'd rather be lonely sometimes than have to deal with someone constantly there. I really like my alone time, and relationships are a lot of work. Also, if you have friends and keep yourself busy, loneliness is less of a factor. Story 21. 32M. I'm not really doing amazing, to be honest, but it has nothing to do with me being single. Bad diet, body pain, mental health issues, lack of motivation, energy to be productive when I get off work, no real career prospects to speak of, and my current job, while extremely secure and cushy, does not pay well enough for me to live on my own comfortably. But it could be a lot worse as well. At least my family helps me out a lot, and I could be working a job that pays even less while being 10 times more stressful. TBH, I really don't have much of a desire for a partner at this point in my life. Even if I manage to work out all these issues, I've been single for the vast majority of my life, excluding a fling that lasted a few months and frankly was a pretty awful and traumatic experience. I think at this point I'm just way too used to it for me to change. Life is just much more stable and predictable when my own needs and the needs of my immediate family are the only ones I need to manage. Story 22. Being with someone is nice. Having someone there, someone to share and create memories with, and just have fun with it is great. But being single and being able to come and go as you please, without having to answer to anybody, no one else to be responsible for, or have to worry about on a daily basis is golden. Learn to love yourself and be happy with yourself, and it'll make loving somebody else so much easier. Story 23. 34F. Had one BF at age 18 to 19, and one at 20-21. Been single since then. Lived with my best friend for 7 years. Moved back home because of work. Moved in with my younger brother, 28, and we vibe a lot. I mostly come home after work, chat with him, go to my room and game read, watch YouTube, talk to him before bed and sleep. I like it that way. We do game together a lot, depending on the game, but otherwise, I am mostly alone, but I like that. And I also don't feel the need to have any partner right now. I dislike sharing my bed or having to keep another person on my mind. I don't have many friends, but I also like that. Story 24. 40. And I had only one short relationship when I was about 20 years old. I used to be very sad about being single in my 20s, but I more and more accept that I will be forever alone. My life is pretty busy and peaceful at the same time. Full-time job, meeting family and friends, hobbies, traveling. Story 25. 34M. Single and not looking for the past 8 years. I used to tell myself it was because I was obese, started putting on weight in 2017, and I'd start looking once I've lost the weight, but I'm just about done losing weight, and I still don't feel super motivated to date. Now the cope is switching to building some muscle and saving some money before I start dating, but it's starting to sound like there's always a reason to postpone. The reality is I think I'm just a bit asexual, not in the sense that I dislike intimacy, companionship, or actively avoid it, but I just don't really feel a particular urge to change my situation. I'm doing great on my own. I do feel a tad left out sometimes because I have friends that tend to go on double dates and stuff, and I think I'd probably see them more often if I wasn't single, but I need a partner to see my friends more is an absolutely shoot-tier reason to be in a relationship, LMAO. Story 26. 35M. Only dated one person in my life back when I was about 18-20. Turns out being a bit of an introvert with no idea how to meet people and only having friends that are either 1, already in happy relationships, and 2, don't know anyone that they could introduce me to that isn't either also in a relationship, lesbian, or a complete disaster of a person is a real hindrance to dating. Trying to get myself out there though, not specifically to date, but just to meet new people first. Story 27. 33F. Here I find myself being overwhelmed already with life, work, study, and family. Have no idea how people can have a relationship, got married and have kids. I'll be overloaded. Am happy and fulfilled by myself. Love spending time with myself a lot, but can't help to feel, am I that shoot that no one wants to fall in love with me? LOL. I don't feel that all the time, just when I'm PMSing mostly. Life is good, TBH, and I just take one day at a time and counting my blessings, rather than looking at what I don't have. Story 28. It's going all right. I'm very much a person that leans towards stability, stagnation even, so I've pretty much settled into a steady routine that keeps my life going and keeps me content. Despite having not found love, I lead a life that I'm mostly satisfied with, and I'm working on the areas that I'm not fully satisfied with. In my earlier years, I used to suffer internally due to being single when those around me were forming relationships. But now I find that it bothers me less year by year. More and more I find myself getting detached from the very notion of having a relationship. It's questionable if I even desire to bring another person into my life 24/7. After all, I've grown quite comfortable with being the sole authority that my daily routine answers to. Introducing a whole other person with their wants and needs represents a change of such magnitude that I'm not sure I'm cut out to adapt to anymore. My thoughts on relationships notwithstanding, the desire for intimacy, both physical and emotional, is still a factor that hasn't gone anywhere. So, regardless of my previous thoughts, I still pursue romance. However, the older I get, the less likely it is that a woman who catches my interest will be available. Most of them, at least in what I consider to be an appropriate age group for dating, usually turn out to have been taken for years. That's the threshold at which every single one of my courting attempts for the past several years has ended at, which means I stay exactly where I am. It is fortunate, then, that every such disappointment hurts me less as time goes by and they pile up. Story 29. 32 here. Haven't had a proper relationship since 24-ish, I think. I have dated and done the situationship thing, which ends up feeling even worse somehow. I'm quite lonely and coming to realize that probably isn't going to change anytime soon. I feel embarrassed that all my friends are married or engaged, have kids. It's not for lack of trying. There have been men who wanted to get serious, but they were not good for me. I'm just not willing to settle for whoever is in front of me for the sake of checking a box. I don't even have ridiculous standards, just want to at least not be treated like I'm disposable due to the illusion of choice brought on by dating apps and social media. This is all oversimplifying it, really, LOL, but yeah. Story 30. 32F. I live in a great city with my, also single, best friend. I have fun. I date, big social circle, etc. Things are good. Do I miss being in love? Sure, but it'll come when it's time. I like to think I still have some stuff to learn yet before my husband turns up. Smiley. Story 31. Awful. I thought until 2 years ago I was irredeemably ugly, and so have never talked to girls. 33 now. Turns out I'm incredibly handsome and all girls are very nervous around me, and most guys dislike me as they think I'm getting all the girls. I've never talked to one. Story 32. My life is pretty good. It's certainly not a life that most people would consider a, quote, success, though. At some point, I'll fully accept my single life, but there is still a dim flicker of hope that probably causes me more stress than if I just knew that I would never find somebody who I could care about. I still think of the hundreds of things I could have done or do differently to change who I am. But it also crosses my mind that maybe this is just the way life is for me because of who I am. The truth is that I don't think I'd provide much value to anybody else in a relationship, so maybe it's for the best. Story 33. 30M, and realizing how much of the problem is me. Not that it doesn't feel like there's a ton of barriers, but I can honestly say they've led me to stop trying altogether. 2 previous relationships, neither healthy, and a couple regular hookups. The loneliness and isolation actually feels like a weight as it has in the past, but this time feels different. Recovering alcoholic that stopped drinking, and it feels the same as when I knew I actually needed to make changes for myself and my life, not for anyone else. Radical acceptance, or misery forever at this point, I guess. My life, excluding romance, is also dog shit. Thanks for asking. Story 34. 31M. One serious 2-ish year relationship that ended 3 years ago. And other than that, short, sparse hookups with random women, basically. Just bought an apartment, doing well at work, and relatively miserable. Got no one to come home to other than my cats, who I love a lot. I tried dating recently and it was going okay, But honestly, I just don't see myself falling in love with someone again. I feel too numb to be able to have that type of experience right now. IDK if I'm ever going to get out of it. Story 35. 31M here. On the path of recovery from CSA, confused about sexuality. All friends are married, some with babies now. Parents aging and estranging. Elder sibling due to strained relations. Mental health recovery has been great. Kudos to my therapist. She's awesome. Been supremely regular with working out, family care and work. Feels like I'm finally starting life my way now. Learning to forget regrets and moving forward with deeper and meaningful friendships, relationships. And honestly, I'm loving where I am right now. Come on, life. Throw what you can at me. Story 36. 31M. Almost 32. Single my whole life. Have tried multiple times. Been rejected hundreds of times on dating apps. Approaching IRL also doesn't work. Perhaps I'll try again in my 40s. I hear women get desperate in their 40s. Then again, I will probably be proof that women in their 40s do have standards. I'm hurting on the inside. All I want to know is what it feels like to cuddle with another human being. Story 37. I'm 28F now and in a relationship, but I was single my entire life up until last year. Honestly, I'm very happy I was because I have a very well-formed sense of self and identity. I knew exactly what I wanted going into a relationship and was prepared to walk away if it wasn't right. Of course, I had some dark nights of the soul where I felt unlovable and unwanted, and I do have some insecurities of not being enough, but everyone has their own struggle. I also require a tremendous amount of alone time to feel emotionally regulated. Story 38. JFC people. Stop living with the mentality that you are unwell. Focus on yourself. Better yourself. Make every day a challenge to be a getter person. Go to gym. Go for a bike ride. Explore somewhere new. Just focus on living your life and finding new experiences. And someone else who is doing the same will cross paths with you eventually if you do it enough. Story 39. I've only really been single since 27, 28. There's been relationships here and there, but they've never lasted. At this point, I'm just a fuckboy who spends a lot of time doing whatever the fudge I want. It's a nice life, if a bit more expensive than, say, two people with reasonable budgets sharing. Story 40. I'm good, indulging in my hobbies. By all accounts, I'm pretty happy, but from time to time, I feel lonely that I don't have a partner I can seek comfort from. The problem is that finding a partner means giving up the freedom and comfort of being alone for something else which may or may not be better. It's not necessarily that I think it'll be bad and I don't want it. I'm just resistant to change and uncertainty. Story 41. 31 and single. I like the idea of being in a long-term relationship. However, my life has been a series of revolving doors when it comes to friendships and relationships, mainly due to the transient nature my life took after leaving school. I'm living a more settled life, which is allowing me to be a part of a community and develop long-term friendships. Who knows, maybe also meet someone I want to keep doing life with, but also not in rush for that to be right now. I think the thing I learned was the importance of enjoying your own company. It's really hard to make the most of other people's if you're struggling with your own. Story 42. 41 and single. Well, divorced. It's been a ride for sure. I just bought a house, finishing my bachelor's degree, after many years of having an AS degree and excelling in my career. As far as dating, it's something that I'm like, meh. I've noticed that women have been giving me a lot more attention, especially women in their 20s and early 30s, and I think I'm no one special. So far, it's not too bad. Only took 20 years of hardship and overcoming soul-crushing poverty to get here. Story 43. 32 and single. Focusing on my career ambitions at the moment. A lot of energy goes into entertaining a partner, and I want to use that energy to put myself ahead. My lifestyle doesn't really lend itself to a trad relationship. Had opportunities, but I'm more interested in pursuing greatness. Story 44. 34. I've been in a couple relationships, but last one ended over 6 years ago. I have managed to get some of my shoot together, but could do better. A couple weeks ago, I got the idea in my head that I wanted to try talking to a woman I tried talking to 3 years ago. We had good conversations back then, and then it just faded away. The idea stuck until this past Friday, when I did end up messaging her, and it resulted in a 4-hour phone call and setting up like 3 dates LOL. Went on the first one Sunday, and it went well. So I have some hope now, I think. Glad I listened to my gut on that. Story 45. It's lonely to not have someone to do life with. I like traveling and exploring new places, and having to do it solo is just not as fun. I'd love to have someone excited to talk to me each day, to tell about our days and gossip, and just exist with, and the stability of feeling supported and loved and important to someone. But the excitement of going places and having fun and exploring or trying new things. I also miss physical intimacy of a kiss, a touch, holding hands. But I have my dog, and he's always happy to hang out with me, just not great at conversation. Story 46. 34M. Not my favorite. I've only been single for 9 months, after being not single for like 12 years. But I gotta say, I'm struggling a bit. I've learned I do best when I have someone to work together with in life, and also look forward to the future with. Now I just find myself depressed and overwhelmed by domestic life on top of work and all that. Just sort of feel like I can't get ahead, and I'm having a difficult time finding joy or community in life, while also feeling emotionally guarded to the point where I can't quite seem to let someone in, out of fear of being hurt, honestly. Just feeling awfully pessimistic about my ability and my future. I know I should and can be able to be by myself comfortably and happily, but it's just not clicking. I don't know. Therapy's in motion. Here's hoping. Story 47. 33M, and reluctantly made single at the start of the year. Now, I'm a single dad with 2 girls, and I'm either being a parent on the weekdays or working night shifts on the weekends. It'd be nice to meet somebody new, but for now, I'm going to be stuck in this routine for a couple of years. Story 48. Have had a few longer-form relationships and decided I don't like who I am during them and that I'm not a great partner. I'm fine, no real desire to date, but every now and then see a future where it will be incredibly isolating, which is a bummer, but life is about trade-offs. Story 49. 36M. Good. Sometimes I worry if I'll ever be able to have children because I think that could bring a great amount of joy to my life. I also worry about having them with the wrong person. My greedy reason is that kids are the closest thing you can get to living forever. I would like to do my part in helping ensure humanity makes it as a species. Story 50. 32. 6 years out of an extremely abusive engagement that I managed to escape about 2 months before the wedding. Honestly, being single has been a nice breath of fresh air. We were high school sweethearts and had been on and off from like 14 to 26. I live for myself and don't have to worry about someone else constantly. I do what I want when I want. Do I get lonely sometimes? Sure, but I'll take that over the absolute hell that was being in a relationship for me. I've tried dating again and just have zero interest. Story 51. 39. Divorced for a year. Life sucked for about with the loss of my job and passing of my dog. Things changed last month, and now about to move to a new state and city, sight unseen. I'm not exactly looking for a relationship, but am on dating apps and have had 2 to 3 dates. Story 52. 40-ish. Pretty great. Never had any innate desire to partner or have kids. I have very few responsibilities and travel the world working a few days a month and spend the rest of my time creating art, fudge, and having fun with my family and friends. I've had serious long-term relationships in the past, so I'm not against the idea, but I'm happy being selfish and do not miss or yearn for that kind of partnership. People have been telling me you'll change your mind one day since I was a kid, but that seems to have stopped since I was in my mid-30s. I live a my dream existence. Story 53. 33M. Single for 2 years and finally somewhat content with life after a lot of struggle. I enjoy traveling a lot, met so many people, and started learning Spanish. Life is quite peaceful, but darn, I'm currently sitting on a bench in the city center of Valencia and, my God, so many gorgeous women. Even the supermarket cashiers are models compared to the women in my hometown. It really makes you wonder. Story 54. It's okay. I'm well-liked and well-loved by friends, family, and coworkers. I'm a below-average to average-looking dude, and despite a high-earning job, sense of humor, being kind, well-educated, and in shape, I'm really not most women's cup of tea thanks to my face, in past post. Story 55. It depends on the point of view. From one, it's sad and depressing because you are still to find someone to build a future together, while that said future is getting smaller by the day. From another, it's absolutely amazing because most of the people are entitled pricks who don't deserve any of your time and thought. And don't get me started on how shallow people have become since the social media boom. Sadly, it seems like the task at hand to change any of this also gets harder by the minute. Story 56. Turning 31 next month and been single for I think 3 years now. Not sure if relationships are for me though, ATP. I have issues, LMAO. But also being depressed since 11 makes it hard to feel okay. How's life going? I have zero drive or ambition and I just float through life ATM. No idea what I want anymore. Story 57. 36. I've only had 4 women show interest in me in my lifetime. 34 lost interest after the first date. 14 became my first and only girlfriend. We were together for 6 years, from age 23 to 29, and broke up 7 years ago. I really want a girlfriend. I'm morbidly obese, so until I get thin enough to be attractive, dating apps won't work. And I don't have any close friends or hobbies outside of playing DD, where there are no women. So I'm really stuck here. I can't get a girlfriend unless I lose weight, and I can't lose weight unless I get a girlfriend. Story 58. 30M and can't complain. Honestly, never been a social butterfly, and I tend to keep to myself. Being the single guy surrounded by people in relationships can make you feel lonely at times, but being single does come with its perks. You have a lot more time to spend on hobbies you enjoy, plus a lot of financial stability and freedom. I've tried dating recently, but I have a really hard time trusting people these days. Too many past relationships have tried to manipulate and or take advantage of me. I'd rather just not take any more risks at this point and enjoy a peaceful life instead. If I come across someone right for me, that's cool. If not, I'll just adopt a puppy and give them all my love instead. Story 59. 36. Been single since I was 17. It's not going too bad, surprisingly. I got extremely frustrated at the start of the year, which convinced me to finally start therapy, and that's been a huge help. I'm still single, but I've made a lot of improvements this summer. For example, I would always overthink myself out of asking girls out. She's really cute. I'm sure she's tired of guys as her out. She looks like she might have a boyfriend. I don't want her to think that's all guys want from her. Now I just ask, and it's gone very well. Went on a couple of dates. Nothing worked out, but at the very least now I know. Story 60. I'm older than 28. I've been single since college. I haven't even been on a date since before COVID. But honestly, it doesn't bother me anymore. I live alone, but I don't feel lonely. I'm doing very well. I own my own place. I own my own car. I have no student loan debt, paid it off by living with my parents for a good chunk of my 20. Life is good, and I just haven't met someone I want to share that life with yet. Maybe I will one day, but I'm not going to get upset if that never happens. Story 61. 32F, single for the first time in my adult life. Didn't realize how badly I was suffering until I was forced to be alone and had some time to separate my mind from my heartbreak depression. If I ignore that part, I live an absolutely incredible life. I don't have a free weekend until May, June of next year. Dating is impossible with how many plans I've made with friends, how many passions I'm pursuing, how many crazy, insane events I'm throwing that would have never been reality if I was still stuck in a poor connection. I love focusing on me. Story 62. I'm not dealing with other people's bullshit, nor am I getting lied to on a daily basis. The last time I tried ended in such a way I had to cut off all my toxic friends, so I'm good just doing my thing. Lately, I've just been gaming, watching anime, and reading manhwa. It's the best. Story 63. M33 here. Got 2 relationships which lasted less than a year. One I broke up, other one the person broke up with me, hoping the next one sticks for long. So doing all the healing and self-work before I dive into the next one. Fingers crossed it works out. That said, also not stopping to live my life and doing all the things I love like dancing, learning different things I wanted to do, working on career in the meantime so that I don't end up stressing myself on the journey. Trying to keep an optimistic mindset here. Let's see where it takes me. Story 64. Great. Been single for nearly 5 years now. Own my car outright. Own my motorbike outright. Paying off my home. Bought an investment property. Go for rides every 13 weekend or so. Have what I want for dinner. Eat when I want. Do what I want on weekends. Usually home renovations. Swim, run, cook, flirt a bit here and there. Life's good. Story 65. Pretty good. I have a job, health, friends, a cat, a house, hobbies, and spare time. Surely sometimes it feels lonely, but I cannot but wonder if it's because the pressure society puts on this. I have a PhD, and I'm lucky enough to work in my field. I traveled to tons of countries, and I speak 4 languages. I'm, overall, pretty well and shouldn't have reasons to feel sad. But when people, especially old ladies, ask me about partners, it's frustrating, like it's supposed to be a must that would make me complete, like if my previous achievements aren't enough. Story 66. 28M. Been single for 9 to 10 years, although there have been some situationships in between. Nothing concrete, though. I'm actually coming to the realization that although I've been comfortable in life, I am the least bit happy about it. Part of that has to do with wanting a partner, but the majority of it has to do with habits, health, career, etc. I feel like my future lady deserves someone who has a better grasp on that stuff, so I find it hard to be motivated to look for love at the moment. Story 67. 29M and have been single for majority of my life. I do miss having someone besides me, but it's way better being alone than to have someone who is not the right match for me. Learned it the hard way. I'll admit, it gets hard sometimes, but lately, I have been making my peace with it and instead have been focusing on myself. Story 68. 29F. Single since February. I'm doing a lot better mentally since that relationship ended, and I've done a lot of reflection since. Another relationship would be nice, but I'm not desperate and haven't really made any steps in that direction yet. I guess I'm still worried about it all going wrong and still not having the spine to say no and stand up for myself, rather than always being the one groveling and apologizing, because I know they won't, and we're at a stalemate otherwise. It's also kind of nice not being obligated to anyone. Got friends, hobbies, and pets in the meantime, and I've just started Chinese and creative writing classes. Story 69. I'm 31 and an attractive woman. I come from a culture where family's expecting me to be married to someone very specific. However, I also live abroad now. My parents' blessings are important, but the chance of me meeting someone in my city for an approved relationship is like 0.001. So for now, I'm just fudge around or waiting till my parents die to get into a relationship. Story 70. Had a bit of a nervous breakdown about 8 years ago. Tried very hard but unsuccessfully to end it all. Was okay for a bit, then tried it again while I was piss tipsy and couldn't find a thing to open my veins with. I also think tipsy me was kind of a private area. So I sat in the shower and just used a dull box utter blade to scratch a bunch of lines down my inner forearms. I passed out before I did any major damage, but I do have scars. The first time I OD'd and wound up having a stroke from it. Now I have memory problems and nerve damage on my right side, and I've been fighting to regain just a shred of the confidence I had before the fall. It's not impossible, but it may take me the rest of my life. I also quit drinking, but now I'm addicted to vaping pot, and I've got no idea what to do about a career. Story 71. 28 now. Had a GF from age 16 to 26. We broke up on good terms and we just changed as people. I've been struggling finding myself the past 2 years, but the last months I'm regaining my confidence and learning who I really am. I've slept around a lot, but I also see now that that isn't the life for me. I want comfort and someone I can be myself with fully. At times I really miss having a GF, but I'm sure I'll find one again eventually when I'm ready. Life is pretty good lately. Story 72. 30. Been single for the last 3 years. Watched my ex-GF fall out of love with me and go into another man's arms. Me? I'm just working and trying to better myself. It's slightly working. I'm 95 over it and got diagnosed with chronic depression last Friday and waiting for my other results. My love life is atrocious. Story 73. 47. Divorced 10 years. Finding peace in building a better version of myself. Actively not dating for the moment. Couldn't be more content. I lost myself in a career, 10-year marriage, and another LTR. My favorite is going to the grocery store and being obliged to tell anyone. Story 74. 29M went from 2 4-year relationships back to back and then hooking up a bit. Not that fun and miss my last relationship, but enjoying the opportunity to better myself. Joined a fun club, took fitness, health, and hobbies seriously. Still working on being the best version of myself, which being single forces, but the idea of doing that with someone while we are still in that period of time does have more of a romantic feel to it. Story 75. WTF is special about 28. I'd consider that still quite young to be married in a lot of Western countries today. You'd barely be done of post-secondary school and just starting your career. At 28, I wasn't even thinking about this stuff, and at nearly 40 now, I still don't LOL. Story 76. 36. Single for 3 years. Praise the gods. After 14 years of relationship and life could not be better. I get to eat what I want, sleep when I want, do whatever I want, whenever I want. Nobody complains if I leave something somewhere. They can stay there as long as I want. I can clean when I want, at least twice a week BC of dogs. Finally, that extra room, old carriage, can be all mine to fix my bikes and motorcycle parts. Story 77. Mix of long-term dysfunctional relationships through my 20s. Did a lot of life improvements through my 30s and migrated to dating apps to find better suited matches. Continued to develop my life, hobbies, friendships, career, and mental health. My relationships in dating life has been better and better through the last 7-ish years. Any version of younger me would trade places with 41-year-old me now without hesitation. It's still challenging, but the slow drip of rewards from all my years of effort is a sweet trickle. Story 78. Early 30s. Things aren't perfect, but they're pretty all right. I still have friends that I hang out with pretty regularly. The job is kind of dull, but pays well. I'm in decent shape and have enough things I want to do to keep me busy and entertained. Haven't had any sort of relationship in 5 years. Not very social, so I don't exactly get a lot of opportunities. It's lonely at times, but nothing too terrible. Try not to focus on it. Story 79. 31. Been in 2 LTR 4 years each a prex. Single life slaps. It gets lonely sometimes, but I have friends I've known for a dozen years. That, especially, helps. I also have no shortage of company from the opposite intimacy. I almost have too much variety, but I feel like if I'm going to surrender this form of love, it'd have to be someone awesome who shows up, so I'm allowed to be more disciplined in who I choose as my life partner. I live alone. The only thing that compels me are my desire to pay bills, having fun, and connecting with others. I travel, make plans with full authority. It does get harrowingly lonely at times. However, you wait out the storm and recall all the great times I am afforded. I understand some guys may not have as much fortune as me in this department, but I have a friend who is a bit of an agoraphobe, and he's doing much better through his efforts. So, yeah. Story 80. Life is going okay. After 10 years of partners, including a wife and then a fiancé, I have concluded that I need to work on myself and my choice in partners. I'm living alone, though have my daughter a lot of the time. I have decided to not look for a nesting partner till I fix my issues, as my kid deserves stability. Story 81. 28, single and loving life. Own a place to live, and I do what I want when I want. And I only spend my money on myself and family. Gonna buy my dream car soon. Rather be single with all these lazy, minimal attention span people nowadays. I ain't breaking my back for someone who stares at their phone all day. Fudge no. Story 82. 36 turning 37 before EOY and doing just fine. I found surrounding myself with a group of close-knit friends really helps. Like they have keys to my house, friends. Funny enough, I'm the only single one out of 15. Everyone else is either married or in a serious LTR. Story 83. 31. Non-binary. Dating is weird for folks who don't fit neatly into the boxes of masculinity and femininity. I get lonely, and at times, a little envious. But by and large, life is good. Stable income, housing, and insurance, which is more than many of my peers in relationships can say. Story 84. It's all right. 32. I have everything I want except that relationship. Good job. Own my home and car, and have good social circle. Except that circle is now all having kids, so I really feel a bit worse now. I didn't try in mid-20s, and I got a bit sick and lost time there and during COVID too. I've been on a bunch of dates off dating apps. Seem incompatibility issues, or I fumble it somehow. LOL. Last one spurned by after 9 months. Long distance and in person. Saying she can't do long distance, and then starting dating someone in Australia very shortly after. I think she moved there, but no clue. One I met in the wild and asked out on a date. We went out for a good 2-ish months. Then I felt the shift from her. Got annoyed she wasn't telling me, and so I asked her what she wants and told her what I wanted. Told me she didn't want a date, which I sorta got, but why would you go out with me then for 2 months? Anyway, it sucks RN. I'm in a weird point of life I don't know what to do. I don't like partying anymore, and I'm more wanting to do things like set up Halloween decor or cook better food. Keep myself busy with running marathons and gym. And ski season. Solo traveling. But yeah, IDK what to do. My city is very transient and a lot of people aren't here for a while. Considering moving, but IDK. I'm lonely and just want someone to spend time with. But at least the girls I go out with are absolutely gorgeous and fit, so that is fun. LOL. Story 85. 40. Single for the past 5-ish years, and it's wonderful. I'm a woman and totally at peace. There's no drama. I do what I want, when I want. I have great friends, great pets, a great roommate, a house I love, and a job I enjoy. Every so often I hop onto the apps, see what's out there, and close them again. Every so often I'll go on a date, but it's few and far between. If I never dated again, Never had another relationship. I wouldn't be upset. Story 86. 30M and been single for a few years now. Doing good. Pretty much just working on myself and getting through life. I've been going to the gym more often lately and finally bench pressed my weight a couple days ago. I have an overseas trip with some friends in a couple weeks. I think I might try to get back into dating when I come back. How about you, OP? Maybe I missed your comment, but how are you doing? Story 87. Bro, I haven't been in a relationship since I was 19. I turned 32 in February. I'm extremely picky with the women I date. I'm looking for a mother who I can raise a family with, but no luck so far. All materialistic Kim K enthusiasts. Might need to fly out to Eastern Europe to meet some old-school-minded traditional woman. I don't want the age gap with my children to be huge. Story 88. 40. Single mom. Life's tough sometimes, of course, but I get along better with my kid's other mom than when we were married. So that's something, I guess. What time and money I'm not using to raise my kids is used on myself, hobbies, and friends. Barely have any other family. Being part of the LGBTQ community and living in the South. Pretty easy math there. Make enough to keep a roof over our head, food in our bellies, and a bit of entertainment every once in a while. Could be worse, so I ain't complaining. My main drive is mainly to just be a better person and parent than mine were. Also, listening to music constantly and trying to find something to laugh about every day helps keep me in good spirits. Story 89. Single 28M living in Chicago. For the most part, life's great. I really enjoy spending time by myself, reading, games, catching up with friends, family, working out, watching sports, etc. And it feels to me like I have to sacrifice a lot of that when dating. I just haven't met someone where I felt that trade-off was worth it. On the flip side, I really do want to have a girlfriend I can love. I've been dating on and off, but nothing that's lasted more than 1 or 2 months. I'm frustrated with myself because I know they're out there. Doesn't really weigh me down though. Love my job. See my family and friends all the time. Travel a lot. And I'm pretty confident I'd find someone if I made it my top priority. Story 90. 31M. Honestly, it's the hell. I lost the person who meant everything to me, the one who made me happy and made me feel complete. I used to be, more or less, happy at work, happy around my friends, just generally a happy person, and people around me noticed. I had a future. I had dreams and visions. Now everything feels empty. Life just sucks, no matter what I do. Nothing feels fun anymore. The only thing I look forward to is drinking on the weekends. I know that's not a real solution, but it's my small escape, the only thing that gives me any relief, because there is nothing else left to look forward to. It feels like I am no longer the person I once was, like I once had a stable income, then hit the jackpot and was living the good life, and now I've lost it all and am deep in debt. I've never been good at being alone, and now it's worse than ever. I used to focus on the positives, no matter how hard life was. I always believed things would get better, but that's gone now, completely gone. I wouldn't take the next best relationship just to be in a relationship. Once did. Worst mistake. But the truth is I'm just not a good single and depressed AF. I just really need someone by my side to be happy. Someone who gives me strength when I struggle, and who I can give strength to when needed. Who truly cares about me, shows me love. Someone I can talk to about my day and my feelings. I can share my interests with. Someone I can give all my love to. There is just no activity I have fun with alone. Watching a series? Never ever. With a GF? Hell yeah, I could binge watch all day. Vacation? Nah thanks. With a GF, let's go and explore the world. I do have friends, but it's just not the same. I can't really open up to my male friends about my feelings or talk about my day. I never could, and even if they'd listen, and they sure would, it just wouldn't mean much to me, or help me in any way, TBH. I don't know why. I don't have any female friends, let alone any female interested in me, and I've tried once in a while to start a conversation. I always thought I wasn't that unattractive, but I guess the truth is I'm just too ugly, uninteresting, completely useless and irrelevant, and was just luckier than winning the lottery to meet someone who saw something in me until she left me. What no one else sees in, maybe isn't there, and never was. Life feels really, really horrible. And honestly, I don't know how much longer I can take this. Story 91. 28M, single. No woman deserves to take everything I've built with blood, sweat, and tears, and my experience in my past dating has told me that they will try. I'm good, honestly. No stress, no pressure, Got a good set of friends. Am happy. So heart broken that the physical intimacy aspect is completely gone. You could bring the world's hottest girl in front of me and my response will be, meh. I'm lucky that my mom brought my brother to this world, even at 20 years old. So as long as I have him, I'll devoted my life to him, and that'll make me happy. Story 92. Mid-30s here. Tried not being single with 2 legit efforts, and they're 2 of the worst events periods of my life. So I think I'll just stay single. Casual flings and short relationships in between were fine, but I think in general, I'm just better off living life at my own pace. Story 93. 28M. Turned 28 in the last couple of weeks. Became single a couple of months ago. Life is all right. I would rather be single at 28 than be 28 with the wrong person. That said, I've been on dating apps, etc., and having a fun time. I've met some nice girls so far. Story 94. 31. Single since college. I just haven't lived anywhere with a lot of people my age since then. And the few dates I've been on, I mean like 4, haven't led to anything. It's starting to get to me now that I'm through a couple waves of weddings. I feel like I'm losing touch with most of my friends, not just because they're busy, but because it's harder to relate to them now. Story 95. Spent the entirety of my 20s in a relationship that was not good for me and only just recently ended earlier this year. Now, as a 31-year-old bachelor, life has never been better. Embrace it. Feeling alone while single is by far more pleasant than feeling alone while in a bad relationship. Having no partner is always better than having the wrong partner. Don't measure your self-worth based on whether or not you are in a relationship. Make you own self-worth. Become comfortable as your fully authentic self. Tell yourself you don't need anyone else. Then watch as people start lining up to date you. Being 28 and single is a ridiculous thing to worry about when life is this full of wonder. Story 96. Enjoy life as best as you can and don't wait around for a partner. If you find them along the way, that is great, but if not, you will also be fine. I highly suggest solo traveling for anyone looking to try something new or bust out of a funk. Hostels are a great way to meet people while abroad and have some awesome adventures. Story 97. 34. Been single for almost 10 years now. A couple of almost GFs, but it's been mostly me. I'm real lonely and have pretty much given up in ever meeting anyone who's interested in me. No one replies. I'm not any social media because it's really bad for me. So until the world gets off social media too, looks like I'm going to stay single. Story 98. I'm 30 and single. Living pretty decently TBH. Well over half the other dudes in my age bracket at work are in the process of getting divorced or divorced already. So, am not exactly peeved about it, and I haven't put in real effort to the dating scene in a few years now. Story 99. 29M. Been single for almost 3 years now. It's not too bad, get a lot of time to focus on yourself. My days basically work and gym, then cooking myself food and maybe watching a show or gaming. And glim, wishing I had someone right now. But online dating apps are not my forte, and I don't go clubbing or anything, so it's almost impossible to meet people. And TBH, the young girls you can meet at the club ain't trying to settle down and get married. I've been saving money for a house for a while now, but I don't see the point in buying if it's just myself. Currently only pay $550 for shared use of a nice house. Live with my cousin and we get along really well. Any single ladies in ABHMU, haha. Story 100. 28 and single. Came out of a toxic relationship and been really enjoying my time alone, though I really wonder when I'll be ready to commit to someone else again, and I hope it won't be in a long time either. In the meantime, I'm focusing on myself and my well-being. Also, Atlas games help a lot. Story 101. Going on 29, and it's been about 3 years since my last relationship, which was on-off for about 10-11 years. No luck with dating since then yet, but I also haven't given it much effort besides just having a dating profile. It's been a long while since I've gotten a match, but I don't expect things to come from the apps anyways. Story 102. Mid-30s, no friends, and no relationship. Had relationships in the past, but just never worked out. The vast majority of people tend to not talk to me, so I've long since accepted I'll more than likely be alone for the next 20, 50-some years I still have. Story 103. Christ, these top comments are rough. Okay, I'll give a much better experience because it has been really different for me. I'm 39, and other than my job, which I pretty much dislike, it's great. Can do what I want when I want. Still have most my friends. Still go out with them. I have get-togethers with my college mates about 5 or 6 times a year where we rent a house and just go wild because we're not going to stop doing what we like just because society tells us adult life has to be boring. Still enjoy having casual relationships. It's really pretty good. Also, I've had a serious relationship. It's not all that it's cracked up to be, believe me. I also think the reason I like living like this is because it was never a dream of mine to get married and be with the same person forever. And more importantly, I can't even fathom having a kid. I'd get depressed pretty quickly. But if those are your life purposes and you can't get them, I can see why you'd feel down. It's just not something I can relate to. Story 104, 33F. Never married. No kids. Longest relationship was about 212. Honestly, am mostly good. I make decent money doing a job I don't dislike. I have really strong platonic relationships. I get along with my family pretty well. I don't have drama in my life. I do the things I want when I want to. I am secure and happy. I am not really interested in having a romantic relationship right now, but I do believe when it's the right time, it will happen for me. Story 105. Going to be 30 in just about 8 weeks. I was laid off from my job at the beginning of May. I moved away from a city I loved and back in with family in a town I'm not loving. I had to sell most of my belongings due to lack of space. Yes, I am single and lonely, but frankly, I've got bigger fish to fry. Story 106. 31. Single since about 2 months into the pandemic. Life's going all right. Not super great, not terrible. Just all right. Sometimes I'm feeling lonely, but I don't want to date just to get rid of that feeling. And I haven't met anyone I really wanted to date, so I choose to be single until I meet that person. Story 107. 51M. Never married. I have had relationships, but been single for about 5 years. Happy for the most part. Have good friends. Go to the gym. Walk and hang with my dog. Can eat popcorn for dinner and gaming for fun. It gets lonely sometimes, but I just want peace. If I can find someone to add to that, great. Story 108. Still single? As in never been in a relationship? No, but I've been more or less single for the past 8 years. I'm 35. Came out of a relationship in 2017. Took a while to get over it. Focused hard on my career for a couple of years. Went to start dating again, and literally the next month the COVID lockdowns hit. Used that dead time to save up for my own place. Started dating again briefly. Then I caught COVID and never properly recovered, which started a chain reaction of medical issues that plague me to this day and have no cure. Any one of them would be a deal breaker for most people. I've come to terms with being single forever. Marriage, kids, all that stuff. It's for others, not me. On my worst days, I'm bitter about it, but I have plenty of friends, hobbies, etc., so I'm doing okay. Story 109. 29M. Been single most of my life. Honestly, more recently, it's been hurting a lot more. Don't think there's anything wrong with me. Successful, lots of hobbies, etc. But I guess what stops me from going out and meeting someone is my low self-esteem and not wanting to be a creep by hitting on a woman ever, despite knowing there's polite ways to do it. 'Cause of the old flirting versus intimacy harassment meme. And looks-wise, I'm not in category 1. But yeah, it does suck. I see myself wanting a partner, just someone to enjoy the smaller moments with, someone to look forward to coming home to, someone to talk and debate to, etc. When I see my IG feed full of young couples having fun and doing classic BFGF shenanigans, I'm smiling and enjoying it, but I'm deeply sad inside, 'cause I feel like I might have just missed the bus. Story 110. 33F. Chronically ill and early retired. I'm fine-ish. Mostly happy. I do wish I could have a husband and children, but I don't think that's going to happen for me. Thankfully, I've picked up the hobby of writing, which will probably be a lifelong companion now. I've also moved closer to my family, so I'll be able to participate in their lives more. Story 111. I was 29 when I got my first girlfriend. There are certain cynical realities you have to accept when dating, and often you have to look long and hard at yourself and decide if you've earned the kind of partner you're chasing. But you can find love, real, genuine love, on the other side of the struggle. Story 112. 37F. I've had long-term relationships and was married for 10 years. Love wasn't there anymore, so we split amicably. Honestly, it's been going great. I do what I want, when I want. My house is clean and organized. I have fun with my little hobbies. Sure, romance and intimacy is nice, but it's not something I've ever missed. Story 113. 38F. Single with no real serious relationship history. Doing fine. Spend a lot of time with friends. See family often. Cook, eat good food, go to shows, dance, camp, forage, skinny dip in rivers, volunteer, snowboard, travel, work on myself, cuddle the cat, and take the occasional casual lover. I would like a relationship, but I'm okay until something good comes around. Story 114. I'm single, 34M, but it's recent after a 7-year failed engagement. I'm learning to get used to it and love my own space myself. Trying to take the lessons learned and use them if or when I run into someone I like or likes me, or force myself to use a dating app again one day. Story 115. I am 37. Yes, I am single and I am by choice, and here's how my life is. I have my everyday job. I focus on my career. I am a software engineer. I am doing a master's degree in computer science, and I have recently started an Erasmus Civis exchange program. You do some courses in a different country. I live together with 3 Erasmus students, which are young girls, 22 to 24, in the same apartment. Every weekend, I am traveling to neighbor counties, taking photographs with my phone and drone. I think deeply about my next steps in life. And yes, most of the stuff make me feel content. However, there are times where I feel alone. I cannot deny that I do not need the company of a woman would provide me in a relationship. Story 116. 29M and have been single for 78 years now. Life is pretty good, all things considered. Can't complain about much as I've been able to save a bunch of money, work a good job, focus on hobbies, and staying healthy. I've also been able to help out my parents a bunch as they've been getting older, so just enjoying spending time with them and friends. Would like to get back into dating in the next year or so. I hope things are going well for everyone else out there. And